Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another video. Today we're going to look at two of the highest scoring games at the World Championship that just passed. The first one is going to be Rise from Karmine Corp against Falcons, and this is going to be an overtime game. I'll let you know ahead of time that I made a kind of a restriction on this. Some of the overtimes at Worlds were crazy long, and that of course inflates points per game, increases the points the players get. But this is a sub 1 minute OT game, and Rise is able to put up an astonishing total. I won't spoil what exactly that ends up being as just yet. But here we are against Falcons. This is KC trying to get the potential upset. I know they wouldn't have considered it an upset at the time. They fancied themselves as favorites against everybody they play. Super confident team. But Falcons, probably the strongest team in the world outside of grand finals this past 3 months, 4 months of Rocket League or so. So everybody thought they were going to be the stronger team here. KC showing incredible resilience coming back from multiple deficits in order to put Falcons under pressure here. And they were at a advantage at this moment as they actually concede here from an own goal. Bit unlucky there, but it's going to be Falcons picking up the initial goal. Now, I think in this series, Falcons did score the first goal the majority of the time. I don't remember exactly how many times they were able to do that, but I remember there were so many comebacks in this series. So many times KC would look like they're about to take an L, and then they'd just come back and win. Their plot armor is kind of ridiculous. Rise and Vatira made a name for themselves in their Rocket League careers for having some of the best plot armor, some of the best late series ice in the scene, and they're going to need it here because they're down 2-0. And so far, Rise has not put up anything kind of crazy numerically. 72 points in over a minute of gameplay. You're probably wondering, how does this end up being one of the highest scoring individual games in the entire World Championship? Well, let's just keep watching and see how that comes to be. Yeah, entire series score for this match, of course, did go in favor of the KC roster. They were able to take this one 4-1. Which is a very impressive score. One of the most one-sided actual score lines in the entire playoff bracket. It was a very competitive playoff bracket. Lots of Game 7s, lots of Game 6s. We were blessed at the recent World Championship with close series all the way start to finish. But this really wasn't one of the closest series in terms of series score. But gameplay-wise, very competitive games. Both teams looking dangerous, both teams looking like they can make a run later in the tournament, which of course we all saw both teams did end up doing. They actually ended up having extremely similar runs, both failing to reverse sweep in best of sevens in the preliminary finals against G2 and BDS respectively. But more specifically, this is the fifth game of the series. KC up 3-1. There have already been 3 overtimes in a row, 2 of which won by KC. And they're on triple match point. They can win this advance right here, but Falcons once again putting them under pressure. And let's take a quick score update there for Rise as he puts in his first goal. 309 points, nothing too crazy. You know, we're looking at some numbers in the range of high 700s, even 800s, sometimes even 900s for regulation scores in Rocket League. So he's not even halfway to that. A lot of work needs to be done in order for this to be one of the most impressive individual games of the World Championship. But it's Rise we're talking about. You know, he gets better and better as the game goes on. You know, he gets better and better as the series goes on. And they're only back by 1. That's going to feel a lot better than being down by 2. No, the same is true for all ranks of Rocket League, but especially pro play, having that 1 goal deficit. These guys are extremely disciplined. They know that they can play standard for the majority of the remaining game, and then they're probably up the ante in the final minute, final 30 seconds if they are still trailing. This is a great pass, and nice save there by Clears, but really could have been a goal there for KC. Vatira did well to put the shot behind the goalie. Now Atto testing the goalie. It was Rawas, of course. He does get the clear. Rise calls the miss or the fake nice and early to keep the pressure on, and they really are starting to put Falcons on the back foot. This is not where Falcons do their best work. Falcons known as the #1 offense in the world, but defensively they do sometimes have some gaps in their defense that could be exposed by the more disciplined teams like G2 and the top teams coming out of Europe thinking, Gentlemate's such a disciplined team defending their back corner. We're into the final minute now. Rise on 343 points. Really not the craziest scoreline, but I promise you, this gets ridiculous in the following 2 minutes of gameplay here. Remember, I said that I'm going to keep this to less than a minute of overtime. Out of all the replays I looked at when I was trying to find the highest scoring games of the World Championship, there were some crazy games that had 4 minutes overtime, 5 minutes overtime, but this one is not a long overtime. And Rise, between now and then, managed to rack up a ton of points, 400 points. Not even top scorer in the game right now. TRK has currently got that, but now with just 30 seconds left in the game, KC will no doubt be pushing for a win. Pre-jump save there by Vatira. Rise had an attempted cover at the back post, and now just pathing small pads to get into the play, and he dusts everybody for his second goal of the game. 531 points on the board, 22 seconds left in regulation, but still not the craziest score. So what does Rise get up to in the next minute in order to get this scoreline up into one of the higher numbers that we've seen in this calendar year? Indeed, this RLCS season. Reset 50, decides to leave it actually, but TRK was all over it. Vatira now with low boost, but does well to get it into the back corner. And there's going to be a nice routine epic save there for Rise. Love the epic saves for the points. Of course, that's a way that all of you points farmers can add to your totals. And another one there by Rise. I believe that did register. If you want to get more points, 10 more points, you can just let the ball go a little bit closer to your goal before saving it. And yes, I can confirm some RLCS players do in fact do that so that they can stat pad a little bit and look more impressive at the end of the day. But into overtime we go. 661 points on the board. Already a great total for Rise, but he's not done. And in this very short overtime, we do get an insane burst of action that Rise is heavily involved in. There's a testing shot on target. Not going to be too difficult for Falcons to save. And a team bump there from Vatira and Rise, but not too disastrous of a situation. Rise obviously on the hunt for a hat trick here. That will give him some bonus points if he can get it. Lurking at that back post area, just ready to lunge in whenever he sees an opening, and that could be it. Rise, first touch over the top of one, second touch over the top of two, and there you have it. The hat trick for Rise brings him up to 867 points in just 41 seconds of overtime. Crazy effective game there. Of course, you do get bonus points for the third save and the third goal there, so a very efficient score there by Rise, but not the best one of the World Championship. Let's take a look at the highest regulation time score that one player is able to produce at this year's Worlds. All right, here we are back on the new Aquadome map. This time it's TRK for Falcons, and he is up against Oxygen. Of course, Game 5, always a grass Quadome, and best of sevens is Game 5, but not yet match point for either team. If I remember correctly, this was 2-2 in the series score between Oxygen and Falcons. Oxygen did have a great tournament. They actually had Falcons on the ropes here, taking the opening game of this series in the top 6 of the tournament, and then Falcons came back. Oxygen retook the lead 2-1, and Falcons, right before this, just went to tie the series for a second time. So, entering the final games in the series, guaranteed at least a Game 6 in this one. Who's going to take Game 5? Well, you've got a clue, as we're on TRK POV, talking about who got the highest score in a single game at the entire tournament. Let's see how he did it. So far, not a very active minute, just 20 points in the first 47 seconds. But this is why you shouldn't panic. Sometimes your mates online, they're making fun of you because you got 2 points in the first minute. It's not how you start, it's how you finish in a lot of these games. And points can come flying in Rocket League, as we all know, once things start to happen. When the game starts to come more towards you. That's a good outplay there by Oski. Just to talk briefly about Oxygen's run, how insane was it to see these guys playing this well? Makes you wonder what could have been if they didn't put a ton of pressure on themselves in London to make a top 2 run. Oh, nice extra touch there by TRK, managing to surprise the goalkeeper and get his first goal of the game. That's a very nice last touch. It took the ball a little bit more to the side than the goalie expected. Yeah, as I'm sure a lot of you know, Oxygen needed a top 2 in London in order to make Worlds, just purely by merit as a top 4 team in Europe. Didn't get it. They actually lost to Power, went out in Swiss 2-3 after losing to Furia, so they weren't even close to getting what they needed from that London event, but they made Worlds anyway because one of the teams, Mina's second team, Anything, could not attend, and that left one spot open. And RLCS decided to give it to Oxygen as the next in line EU team. EU being the strongest region, were given a 5th spot. Okay, TRK there picking up an assist. That's going to help him get way up there in the points. He's already off to a decent start. A lot more goals likely when Falcons are on the field. Like I mentioned in the previous game, Falcons are the top offense in the world, highest goals per game out of anyone. And it's not just statistically the number 1 offense. I think everybody can clearly see if you watch this team, just the way that they play, the aggression that they play with, the synergy that they have in offense. It does seem to just be at a level that no other team can really match, at least when it comes to offensive output. And Falcon struggles definitely more on the defensive end, because they still try and stack the pitch very heavily on ice fake there by Colliers to make it 3-1. And very balanced performance so far by Falcons. Everybody's got a goal. Colliers doesn't have an assist, but they're going to be quite happy with how this game is going as they start to take control against the dangerous Oxygen roster. Half the game gone. Not the most impressive stat line so far. Just like with the Rise game, TRK has yet to accumulate too many points. And like I said at the start of this one, this is a regulation score that we're about to see. This is the highest regulation scoring game in the tournament. TRK there bumped into the air, still recovered to make the save. Looked pretty easy for him. And then diving at the near post, unable to get a follow-up save. So with 2 minutes to go, he's just past 300 points. But yeah, you are probably correctly wondering how on earth does he manage to get upwards of 800 from here? Well, let's find out. Long way to go. And Falcons can do a lot of damage in 2 minutes. It doesn't matter how many goals they're leading by, they will go for more. That's something that we've learned about them towards the tail end of the season in particular. It doesn't matter if they're winning 6-0, 7-0, the game could already be completely over. They're still going to try and score more goals. I don't think it's for stats as much as it is for maintaining their play style. They just want to score. Well, right now TRK is not even the top scoring on his team as Rawas passes him by 5 points, minute and 40 left on the clock. But they're going to be very happy with how this game is going. 2-goal advantage re-established. Rawas with a low boost dives in for the challenge. That's a good little tip there for you guys to try and follow in your own defensive gameplay. If one of you does have boost and the other doesn't, it's good to let the low boost player charge in first. TRK there sniping underneath the goalie to go upwards of 450 points. Much easier for your player with boost to follow up on a 50-50 than it is for someone with no boost to follow up on a 50-50. The Falcons, maybe they're not the most organized defensive team in the world, but they're definitely still excellent defensively. You can't be anything but excellent in every aspect of the game, as there's a double tap after the initial shot hit the bar and went downwards, and now we're really starting to add up points. TRK nearly at 600, still over a minute to go, and the scoreline has gone up to 6-2. Falcons no doubt going to keep pressing for more. If there is one team who kind of match Falcons' play style, you could say Oxygen are one of the teams in that category. I know a lot of people say Furia, but Oxygen as well, another team with some high-flying offense, and especially at this World Championship, had a very carefree attitude in the pitch. They were not afraid to go aggressive against some of the best teams in the world that they ran up against. Overall, they will be delighted with the finish, which I think Falcons will be very happy with their finish as well. The best finish MENA's ever had at Worlds, top 4. They're now the 5th region who have had a top 4 at Worlds. OCE got their one in Season 6. South America got their one, of course, 2 years ago with Furia going top 4. And now Falcons have gone top 4 for MENA. That's a quick score update. TRK nearly at 800, just like Rise. He's got that 3 goals, 3 assists, or 3 saves, for the bonus points. And now he is just trying to rack up the score. It looks like the game is already over. Another save comes through. Did that one register? It did. 867 points. Can TRK get 900 before all is said and done? Well, not with this much boost available to him. Final 10 seconds. He just needs another 9 points, and it'll be a 900-point game in regulation at the World Championship top 6. Oski's not having it, though. TRK has to settle for just one more ball touch, and that'll be it. 893 points, the highest one-game score from any player at the World Championship, excluding overtimes that did extend that score further. I think I can actually tell you guys, the highest individual game score, including overtimes, was in fact Daniel in a 5-minute 50-second overtime against Furia. He was able to put up 956 points, and then the next highest was Seiko. In a 4-minute and 1-second overtime, he's able to put up 925 points. But TRK, just shy of 900 points in regulation, is definitely the highest score per second at the World Championship by a fair margin. Also, shout out Amphis from QT Pioneers. He was next in line in a 4-minute 13-second overtime with a 4-3 win over Team Secret, 874 points there. And that first game that we saw from Rise was actually the 5th highest individual game score, but a much, much shorter overtime than the 3 overtime games that were above it. But yeah, that's all I'm going to show you guys for this video. I'm actually still in America right now, flying back to the UK today. So by the time this gets posted, I might already be back, and I'm going to be getting back to the regular stream and streaming, uploading schedule and all that good stuff. Yeah, plenty more videos coming about the World Championship. Got some games, some teams, some matches and series I want to highlight. So look forward to that. And yeah, let me know what other players, what other teams you guys want me to make videos about from this World Championship that's just gone past. now that we've had some time to let it digest, and all the G2 fans have gotten over it, I'm sure you're all completely over the loss. I need to see how T-Bit's doing. Not talked to him since he disappeared from the venue. Just went completely MIA after G2 lost. Didn't see him. But yeah, that's all we got time for today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and congrats to TRK on a monstrous game score at Worlds. I'll see you all next time.